I'm not gonna hurt you, I'm just gonna cover you, okay? Oh.
Why would you help me?
Because Rex stopped. And he doesn't stop for nothing.
The rain had been falling for 6 hours straight. Rael didn't mind rain. After 4 years in the ruins of what used to be called the Central District, you stopped minding things you couldn't change. Rain. Silence. The smell of ash that never fully left the air no matter how long ago the fires burned out. You made your peace with it, or you went somewhere else, and there was nowhere else to go. He moved through the debris field with Rex at his heel, the German shepherd who had been his only consistent company since the collapse, a dog who had outlasted 3 squad members and 2 command posts and still managed to find things worth sniffing at in rubble that had nothing left to give. Rex stopped first. He always did. That was the system. Rex stopped, Rael assessed. It had kept both of them alive long enough to develop it into habit. Rael crouched beside him and followed the dog's line of sight. There, under a collapsed section of overhang, half buried in broken concrete and twisted rebar, something that wasn't rubble. Shape. Too small and too still to be a threat, too large and too wrong-colored to be debris. Blue. He saw the blue first. Even through the rain, even in the gray-green light of the storm, that color didn't belong here. Nothing in the ruins was that color. He moved closer, hand on his sidearm out of habit, and stopped when he saw what it was. A girl. Or something shaped like one. She was lying on her back across a broken slab of concrete, arms at her sides, head tilted slightly. Her skin was the deep blue of a winter sky right before dark. Her hair was white and soaked flat against the ground. Her ears came to delicate points. There were wounds on her arms, dark against the blue, blood that looked almost purple, and she was breathing in the shallow, reluctant way that meant she'd been doing it for a long time without anyone helping her do it. No shelter over her. No covering. She'd been lying in the rain. Rex sat down beside her and looked at Rael with a particular expression that meant, well? He pulled off his field pack and found the emergency blanket. Not the thermal one that was gone used 3 weeks ago, but the spare rough canvas tarp he carried for shelter. He shook the water off it as best he could and knelt beside her. She opened her eyes when his shadow fell over her. They were silver. Pale silver, almost white, with pupils like a cat's. Vertical, sharp, tracking him with the careful precision of something that had learned to assess threats at a distance. He didn't move. Didn't speak. Let her look. I'm not going to hurt you, he said finally. I'm going to put this over you. Okay. No response. But her eyes stayed on his face, and she didn't move away, which in his experience counted as a yes. He drew the canvas up over her carefully, tucking it around her shoulders. She flinched when the fabric touched the wound on her arm and he slowed down, gave her a moment, then continued. Rex leaned forward and very gently touched his nose to her hand. She looked at the dog for a long time. Then slowly her fingers opened. Rex pressed his head into her palm. Her name, he learned over the following hour, was Lyrian. She told him in a language he half understood, a dialect of old kin, the language the non-human peoples had spoken before the wars, before the collapse, before everyone had retreated into separate ruins and stopped talking to each other. He knew enough to follow the shape of what she said. She had been traveling alone. She had been trying to reach the northern passage where her people had last been reported. She had been caught in the collapse of a building on day 3, a section of upper floor coming down without warning, and had been here since. She didn't know how long. Time when you were hurt badly enough became unreliable. No one came, she said. In his language, that part she said clearly. I know, Rael said. Humans passed. She looked at the ruins rather than at him. 3, maybe 4. Called out. They did not stop. He didn't defend them. There was nothing to defend. Fear made people into something smaller than what they were, and the ruins were full of fear. He knew because he'd felt it himself many times, and the only thing that had ever gotten him past it was Rex planting himself somewhere and refusing to leave until Rael caught up. "I'm stopping," he said. "I have medical supplies. Not much, but enough to start." She looked at him then, the silver eyes direct and searching. "Why?" He opened his pack and began laying out what he had. Antiseptic sealed bandage strips, a small vial of coagulant gel he'd been saving. "Because you're hurt. Because no one else did." "That is not a reason," she said carefully. "That is an observation." He almost smiled. "Maybe that's enough of a reason." He worked by the gray light of the storm, cleaning the wounds with what he had. She didn't make a sound, not once, but Rex stayed pressed against her side the entire time. His warmth steady and undemanding, and every now and then her white silver fingers would tighten slightly in his fur. By the time Rael finished, the rain had lightened from a downpour to a steady gray drizzle. He sat back on his heels and looked at her. Color had come back into her expression. Not her skin, that was still the deep unchanged blue, but her eyes were clearer now, more present. "Can you move?" he asked. "With time. I have a position. 3 blocks north. It's not much, a ground floor mostly intact dry." He paused. "You're welcome to it. Until you can travel." She regarded him in silence. "You do not know me," she said. "No. I am not your kind." "No," he agreed. "Then why?" she said again, and this time the question wasn't sharp. It was quieter, almost something else. Almost something that sounded like it hurt to ask. He looked at Rex. The dog looked back at him with complete patience and total confidence, the way he always did, as if the answer was obvious and he was just waiting for Rael to say it out loud. "Because Rex stopped," Rael said simply. "And Rex doesn't stop for things that don't matter." Lyrian looked at the dog. Rex thumped his tail once against the wet ground. For the first time, something moved across her face that wasn't pain or wariness. Careful. Like a door opening inward, just a crack but open. "Your dog," she said slowly, "has better judgment than most soldiers I have encountered." "He really does," Rael agreed. "I've been trying to catch up for years." He stood, offered her his hand. After a moment, long enough to be a decision, not a reflex, she took it.